When fears come in and flood your mind, when you think you're going down, when you think you're not going to make it, when you think you're going to fail God, or you've not measured up, when the enemy comes in and tells you that you're unworthy, you're unholy, you're no good, you'll never get it. What do you do when the enemy comes in like a flood? You see, the Lord raises up a standard. Let me show you what that standard is. Look at verse 1. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. And he's put on his armor and set for battle. You have to have a clear vision that your Lord and Savior is standing by. His eyes on your flood, his eyes on you. You have to have a clear vision of what God has promised here. I've not ignored you. I see where you're at. I see what you're going through. Look at me. He says, I have girded myself. I put on my armor. I have my sword in hand. And then read what it says, verse 4. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. God says, get your eyes off the flood, get it on me. I've got my sword in hand. I am more powerful. I am mightier than all your floods. I'm bigger than all your fears. Get your eyes off your fears. He said, I've girded myself. That hit me. I could hardly sleep. I picture my Lord standing over me, sword in hand. He knows how far it can go and no farther. He'll come and slay the dragon in his time. He's saying, now you just stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You just put your trust in me right now. Don't be afraid.
And we have Mr. Brett Keane back on the show with us. Brett, thank you for coming by today. I was really bummed out when you weren't able to make it on the last scheduled event. So thank you for being able to make this time with us now.
I do apologize for not coming in. I really wanted to. I know I don't talk much about this with you, but I've got a lot of health issues and I've got a pretty busted up back. And my wife has been giving me sedative and medication. And unfortunately, quite a few hours before the show, I ended up sleeping for almost a day and a half. Because of it. It knocked me out. So I felt really bad. Unfortunately, I accidentally did the same thing to TTOR, but I will promise you right here publicly that if you invite me to a show in the future, I will not do that for you. I will rather hurt all up in my insides than to do you or TTOR wrong in the future.
Well, you're already making up for it now, and I'm going to put your show name up on a banner for you so people who are watching it can find that really quickly also. All right, so you said it's not a channel ban what you have, right? You said it's a channel strike. Explain the difference to everybody.
Well, if you're banned, it means that, and that's something that YouTube used to do to people, where if you got enough strikes, your entire YouTube channel got taken down. Just bam, you were gone. I'm still there. I'm still able to do some stuff, and my strike will be gone by the end of December, just a little bit after, the birth of Jesus Christ. And also, by the way, I have the same birthday in December. That's if you go with Jesus being born in December.
All right. So December 25th is Brett Keane's birthday. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm a Christmas baby. Yeah, 1976. That's right. Same time that they landed a rover on Mars, they ended up getting my weird ass on the planet.
Well, I was having this conversation with someone the other day on one of my live shows, and I mentioned your channel ban, and it was a snarky comment in the comment section from one of the atheist haters, and they said, I think he's not banned. His show's still there. And I said, yeah, but he can't do live streams. And that's like 3/4 of his show. So in reality, it is very much a channel ban, but you said it'll be lifted in December.
Well, to be honest with you, the atheist would have been right if it was about a year or 2 years ago. It used to be like that. If you had one strike or even a warning on your YouTube channel, you wouldn't be able to do live streams. I found out just at the time I got my strike that at first I thought I was screwed. I thought, oh no, now I'm not able to do live shows. But they changed it around. If you go look at like the YouTube updates and all that, they got it to where you'd have to have 2 strikes and then you'd be suspended for like 2 weeks and you wouldn't be able to upload videos or do live streams. But I can still do it. The problem is, Stephen, is nowadays, after all the aggravation, after dealing with non-believers who come in and scream the N-word or they want to rape our face and all that, I've gotten kind of tired of hosting. I prefer to be in an environment where someone like you or Mr. Stump or TTOR is hosting. Besides, you guys are more organized than me. I turn it on and I just let the zoo door open. People come in, we go crazy, but you usually have like set topics. And I prefer that type of thing. So this type of environment I feel is more entertaining and educational than what I'm doing.
Well, I'm going to throw a little bit of mud on Brett Keane too. I picked up some of those bad habits because I really learned a lot about the live shows from watching you and participating on your live streams. So I picked up that same bad habit of just opening the door and letting the conversation happen. And that has got me into some trouble also. So I do understand that. A little bit of structure is good, but because my first introduction to the live streams was your room, sometimes even the slightest bit of structure to me feels like, a tie around my neck that's too tight.
Yeah, but if you remember back whenever we were getting some stuff going, you would come up with all kinds of ideas. You said things like, let's talk about biblical marriage. Let's talk about adultery. Let's talk about this and how this works in Christianity. That's what I'm talking about. You actually sit there and think about a lot of stuff. Me, I hit stream record. I throw in a long intro, and I'm hoping that the people that come in have the IQ at least over that of a damn banana that I can have a conversation with. So would you like to know what the show was that ended up getting me a strike and what I think happened and all that?
Well, I do want to know that, but first, just let me quickly say I'm bummed out that you're not doing the live streams anymore because there's been several times where I wanted to just go on a show somewhere, but not a show over here or a show where I'm like anybody. And I'd go click on your channel, man, in hopes that you had a live stream and you didn't. And I felt so bummed out. So that part stinks. But yeah, tell us, what was the big episode? Like, what was your major sin that got you stoned to death?
Well, before we get into my execution and all that, I do want to say this. I enjoy talking to you and I enjoy talking to guys like Stump. If you want to chat, if you're in the mood that you would like to do a live thing, but not on your own deal, I'd be more than happy to talk to you, but I got to do things different. I can't keep putting the link out public so every orangutan in the world can come in and just completely upset things. Now I'll go into, basically I'm telling you that if you or TTOR or somebody I trust says you want to do some talking and do it live, I'll set something up, but I'm not just doing it for the whole entire planet anymore. Okay, so what happened? Do you want to respond to that? And then I'll tell you how the execution went down.
No, I want to know about the execution. Tell me how sharp the axe was.
All right. So what happened was I did my usual thing where I opened it up. I was actually very tired, didn't even feel like I really wanted to do something. But Stump, he said that he had some interesting topics he wanted to talk about. If you had had the opportunity to watch the entire show, 90% of it was Stump talking about lust and Adam and Eve and Genesis. It was a beautiful teaching. It was very educational. He pointed out a lot of great stuff in the Bible and about how messed up society is nowadays. Some really good stuff. You've got some really good friends, Stephen, with some very informative.
I do love Stump.
Yeah, he's awesome. So 90% of the time, I just kind of sit back, listen to him. I talk to him. We had a few atheists who came in who had their mic wide open, and I kept on asking them, "Can you just shut that down, mute your mic, all that kind of stuff? You know, the usual nonsense we have to put up with. Well, what happens is that after the show, before I even have an opportunity to download it and save it myself, because I went to bed and I figured I wake up, it'll be processed, I can get it, throw it up on the radio, I've got a strike on it. So I immediately started thinking to myself, what could have possibly done this? And then I ended up looking at the strike on my dashboard, and it says that you're in trouble for a movie called, I don't even know if I should talk about the movie because I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, yeah, good idea. So just any old movie.
All right. I will just say this. The subject matter was a film about demonic possession in our modern times. And it's okay. So that's what I talked about, but I only talked about it for like 3 minutes. People were asking me, Brett, is there any movies you're going to be watching in the future? Is there any music you've been listening to, or yada, yada, yada? And one of the movies I mentioned, the movie company itself hit me with a strike. They basically said that I had copyright stuff on there. Now, Stump was there the entire time. He can tell you I played no movies. There was no audio bites, no nothing. It was just our audio from our voice. That's it. At first, I thought, did I get in trouble for some kind of hateful thing? Did some atheist false report me? No, that didn't happen. It was a movie company. Then I got to thinking to myself after about, I'd say a little under a week, okay, I didn't play anything. Stump didn't play anything. Stump didn't even know about the film that I was talking about. Then I got to thinking, did one of those atheists that was in the room who asked me about the movie I wanted to watch, did they go watch a trailer while their mic was open? We just couldn't hear it because it's so quiet. You see, the algorithm, the artificial intelligence that Google uses on the internet, even if you don't hear it, it still packs itself as data. So I'm thinking that one of these jackasses played a trailer to see what the film was that I was talking about, and it may have played in the background and got me. But you know what's sad about that, Stephen? What's sad is that there's hundreds of thousands of YouTubers who play copyright videos, copyright audio all the time, but I literally got in trouble just for talking about something without even showing it. Do you know how dangerous that is for people?
I have to say, though, since it came directly from the studio, and since it was a movie about demonic possession, I'm guessing it wasn't from like Angel Studios. So it was probably not a godly film, Brett, if we can level. And the fact that when they looked up who was talking about it, which I guess is what pinged them to it, and they saw that the first huge majority of your show was the gospel and someone like Stump sharing the word of God, that probably invoked them to do it.
Well, I could understand that logic. I really could, Stephen, but I put over in the private chat, YouTube's not able to read that. Do you see that? That's the title of the thing.
Okay.
So it's not going to be out there on YouTube for anybody to see. The film was created by a Christian movie company. And here's the thing. I don't think the Christians had it out for me. I don't even think a human was involved in this, Stephen. I think that what happened was the artificial intelligence, it makes subtitles and captions, and it probably thought something was going on and ended up doing it. But I don't think that a sentient human being was involved. If you play copyright material, it's not because some YouTube staff member was watching. It's because the information gets picked up by a computer-generated AI, and then it basically will start doing what it does to your channel. So I don't think it was a person or an actual entity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess that's another outcome of AI that people aren't taking into consideration, the dangers of letting AI regulate anything.
Yeah, it's super dangerous, and they want to do more and more of that kind of stuff. I know that you're really, really big into politics, and I just got done actually making a video talking about this, about Nikki Haley wanting it to where there's more safeguards on AI dealing with the internet, because liberals and Democrats have managed to be able to use it to actually silence people like Donald Trump, silence DeSantis, Vivek, and all the conservatives out there. They've been using it since the time that Donald Trump was president and whenever he went out. And it's the reason why a lot of conservatives are getting demonetized, why they're getting strikes, or completely and utterly shut down on the internet, because Google owns YouTube and they're using this as a weapon. That's the reason why you're hearing all these politicians talking about how serious social media is and why they need to go after the internet, because they're literally killing their political life. They're destroying the Republican Party with the internet.
Do you have Rumble, Brett? Because I have Rumble and I stream everything over to Rumble, but I have no traction. Or have you been able to get any traction over there? If so?
I got 4 channels over there. 2 of them have no videos on them, but I wanted to preserve my name because I have a couple different names that people know me by. They know me as a Stallion 76. They know me as the Brett Keane Show, God TV Radio. On 2 of the channels, one I do all kinds of video games, and the other one basically syncs up with my YouTube channel and puts all my videos over on it, like Odyssey does for you and many others and all that. I don't know if you still use Odyssey, but it basically sends the videos over there.
I don't use Odyssey. I don't even remember using Odyssey.
Well, Odyssey, the only reason anybody used that site was it would make copies of your videos. The moment you uploaded stuff, boom. Rumble takes a long, long time to be able to send the copies over. I don't know why that is, but I do, and I've created a couple exclusive videos. I've talked about some things that would get me killed on YouTube over in Rumble. Am I getting traction? I've got some videos that have gotten up to 800 to 1,000 views, but most of them won't break 5. Rumble is not very effective or helpful for Christians. If you're a gamer, if you're playing video games, you'll get a lot of views. A lot of gamers like Rumble.
All right, so let's say I wake up tomorrow and YouTube found multiple reasons to ban my channel. What's the best alternative? Where's the best other place to go to start something and try to get the gospel out?
That's the other problem. Because they have the AI and they run Google, and since a majority of people use Google apps for their phones and everything else, they have the ability to silence their competitors. Any alternative website, Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, they're all dead on arrival because Google makes it to where they don't show up very well and people's videos won't appear. So it's hard to get any views. You go anywhere, Stephen, no matter how great your video is. You could do a video where you're shooting banana and potato pellets at somebody like the Amazing Atheist, and you're going to get like 5 views because nobody sees the stuff. Nobody knows how to find it.
That's a really depressing story, Brett. Like, I was hoping for a light at the end of that tunnel, and basically you're telling me that the light in the tunnel is to my back, and there's nothing but blackness ahead of me.
Well, unfortunately, that does sound like the path to Christianity, doesn't it? The way is narrow, the pounding comes, and all that. The only suggestion I can give you, as well as other Christians, that I think would be really effective, if you're wanting to be heard and you're also wanting to make money right away, the radio. And I know that you're probably thinking, oh, wait a minute, I don't just want my audio. Well, Spotify and Amazon Music allows you to put your videos on there. Now, the views come in kind of slow, but you will start noticing things build up when you're first starting out. When I first started out, I was like, after 2 months, I was like, man, this isn't really doing anything. But now I'm starting to get thousands of listeners and people and all that. So that might be the route. I remember talking to you a while back about that. I also remember talking to Kent Hovind about that. I said, look, you should go radio. Anytime I put anything of Kent up on that thing, or somebody like Matt Powell, people went and they actually listened and they enjoyed the content that was going on there. That might be your route if YouTube screws you.
I'm hoping it doesn't get there because I do enjoy the YouTube platform. And so far, they really haven't censored me on any gospel related things. Obviously, there's hot topics that you would want to avoid talking about, like various wars that are happening around the world. And I did get a medical misinformation warning once. Yeah, so that was a bummer. So I try to just avoid that period of time where the world was sick, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, yeah. YouTube's really, really bad about that. Lately, I've been just saying the hell with it and just dropping bombs here and there, virtual, intellectual bombs. I'm not talking about actual. Obviously, for those out there who are too stupid to get that. But yeah, that'll get you. There's a list of things that can burn you on the internet. Sadly to say, but you know what's sad, Stephen? What's sad is because politics and culture changes so much in society. Something that you may say now, a conversation you and I are having right now, may be fair game right now, but 3 years from now, after you've completely built your YouTube channel up, something you said in this discussion might go against something that makes people have a snowflake, and you could get screwed for something you said 4 years ago. So that's something you got to think about.
Yeah, I guess that's something I haven't put much thought into. Now, you've been doing a lot more video uploads since you haven't been doing the live streams. Has that got you any more traction? Have you broke through any barriers to gain traction for your channel?
I reached 600 subscribers a couple months ago, and it doesn't seem like there's any kind of growth whatsoever. I feel as though I may have been shadow banned. I don't know if people out there know what shadow banning means. It's been mentioned a few times by people on YouTube, but it's a pretty dirty pull done by YouTube if you want to know what that is.
Man, it really is a shame the type of characters you attracted to your lives, because some of them to date are the best lives I've ever been on. And you really captured something special whenever you didn't have people coming in and dropping dirty words and then reporting your episode to be jerks. Um, why, first of all, explain to everybody why you, above everyone else on YouTube, attracts so many of those dirty charactered people.
Well, it's because I was a former atheist and I wasn't just considered your everyday, typical, scripted NPC atheist. I was someone who was very respectful, and I would calmly unpackage my opponents and people that I dealt with. And a lot of atheists looked up to me. It was also because I was one of the first ones to actually come to YouTube and get on the internet. So I attracted obviously non-believers and a lot of religious people, even though they didn't like it that I was going against them. There was a respect there. There was like, this guy, yeah, he's a non-believer, but he's not a jerk. He's not ignorant to us and all that. He'll actually listen to us. You know how I am, Stephen. Even whenever I was a non-believer, if Christians came in and they wanted to talk about the gospel or God with me, I'd let them talk until they're blue in the face. And then afterwards, if I felt as though I disagreed with anything I said, I would respectfully make my argument or go against what their thoughts were. Not a lot of non-believers did that. They would scream at you, yell at you, say racist slurs and all that stuff. So I had kind of got a respect on both sides for that. Unfortunately, I did end up getting kind of burned by a lot of folks as well towards the end of that.
Oh my gosh, Brett. Okay, that reminds me of that episode we did together. And you had Kent Hovind on and Atheist AJ. And you got Atheist AJ to admit he has a common ancestor with a monkey or an ape or whatever they explain. And he was on my show about 4 days ago. And we got him to admit that he is related to a potato, a strawberry, and a banana, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, you got him quite a bit a while ago, a little under a year ago. He actually he said that he shared traits with that of a damn banana. I believe what we got him on though, Stephen, and this I remember you cackling so hard. Maybe you were laughing so hard you didn't catch the whole thing, but he believes he's related to a Boston Terrier. He thinks he's a dog. And when he said that in front of you and Mr. Kent Hovind and all that, it was pretty much over for him. It was a clown show. It was hysterical.
No, man, I do not remember that. You don't have that clipped, do you, on your show? We can share that.
Oh, I do, but I have a difficult time actually playing any kind of audio or video. If you want to, you can go to my shorts section and you can see what happens is the moment that he says he's a dog, you hear you say, "Oh, yeah," and you think you're a banana too. And then I put this little effect in the video where you see a little chihuahua barking and stuff. Arr, arr, arr. It's funny. It's up there though.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Let me see if I can find this real quick. And by the way, hey Lupin. Lupin is one of the hosts here at our channel, Brett.
Hey Lupin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm about to connect a Bluetooth headset. I might disconnect here for a second. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are having a good show. Let me get this Bluetooth headset situated, and then I'll speak with you a little bit more.
Okay. In the meantime, Brett, I found it. Which one is it? Is it Proverbs Guy owns Atheist Jr., Atheist Jr. claims he's a dog, or Atheist Jr. fails science?
Well, all of them are fantastic. They're epic pieces of work. I'd go with the Proverbs one and the dog one. Both of them will just make you laugh your tail off.
Yes, but the reason that I don't like answering this question is because Kent is asking a completely pointless question. He does this in every single debate. It's creation versus evolution is debate. And he asks every single person, do you think that you're related to a dog? Kent, you know that the other person thinks common ancestry is true. So you already know the answer to that question. You're just asking them, oh, do you think that you're related to a sponge? And then they say yes. And then the people in the audience laugh. You're just making fun of people. You already know the answer. So that's why I don't like answering it, because it's a pointless question. The answer is yes. I think.
Is it that it's a pointless question, or is that it's embarrassing for you guys to answer because you know you have to admit that you believe you're part banana? Come on, AJ, try harder.
Banana. Banana.
Oh, mercy. All right. Now, Atheist Jr. claims he is a dog.
I think common ancestry is true. I think animals have common ancestry. I think evolution happened. I think that I'm related to a dog. I think I'm related to X fruit, X animal there. So you don't have to ask.
That's right. You're right. Relax. This is part of the dominance. He said, if I back away right now, he wins. He's just warning, that's all. This is nothing.
I think common ancestry is true. I think animals have.
Oh, there you go. I told you I got the good stuff.
I have someone in the back. Their name, I've never seen them before. I don't know, Brett. Should I risk it? Should I bring this person on? It's not anyone I'm familiar with.
If somebody ends up playing an audio bite or something on your show, they can ruin your entire channel. That's completely up to you, Steve, and I will never encourage you to do something that might put your channel at risk.
I don't know you. I'm very sorry, but Brett does attract the cray-cray of the cray-cray. No offense, Brett. Okay. Dustin, how are you doing, bud?
I'm not so sure I don't belong in the cray-cray, but I'm good.
All of us belong in the cray-cray category a little bit, but at least you're a cray-cray that I'm familiar with. Have you met Brett before?
Yeah, we've met.
Have you been listening to the show while Brett's been on?
No, I've been trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I've been editing videos all day, and I was in the middle of uploading a video that I had been editing since 7:30 this morning, and then I had a YouTube alert pop up from Brett asking if I was wanting to have that talk. So I was like, absolutely, I'm free now. So I actually had a video that was halfway uploaded that I had to cancel so I could have this interview with Brett.
Copy that. Just give me a call when you have a chance.
Sounds good.
There is one other thing I wanted to point out before we get into AJ and his dog mode that he thinks. I really believe that a lot of conservatives and Republicans, people who are anyone who has a serious disagreement with liberals and Democrats, I think what we're going to see, the closer we get towards election, Stephen, the more people you're going to see get silenced and knocked down off of YouTube and all that. I don't think a lot of people are going to have trouble on Twitter because Elon Musk seems pretty fair-handed whenever it comes to that stuff, no matter what you hear. So far, I've been able to say anything I want, record anything I want, and Elon Musk has allowed whatever to happen. But the closer towards the election, I guarantee you're going to see a lot of big users, a lot of people get slammed and censored.
You know, I think that is the case for Christian channels that get political. But honestly, I really rarely get political. I just don't care, frankly, anymore about politics or government. Like, I support our government, but I don't have this false mentality anymore that my vote matters and that my vote means they're not going to just put in there whoever they please. So I'm just going to smile and go along with the system and preach the gospel, because the gospel I know I can affect. I can have a positive impact in spreading the gospel. And they can't stop me on that yet. So I just try to keep politics out of it. We joke around about politics from time to time, especially me and Dustin, because he loves Donald Trump
Gets
and
pretty savage.
Ron DeSantis.
I don't love Donald Trump. Okay, I support Trump, but I don't love him. Okay, let's dial back the love a little bit.
I was under the impression that you guys were writing one another love letters. And that basically you were his conjugal visit while he was in jail.
I just don't believe in what they're doing with our legal system and using Trump as an icon. So yeah, I show him support, but I don't love him. Right? The man has his quirks. Okay. However, I will not argue that we had the best economy, lowest unemployment, and the best numbers on everything that I can think of in the past 4 presidents. That was my life.
There you go. And that's as deep as I care to get into politics on the show, Brett. So I think channels like us, if we just avoid politics, will make it through that cycle. But for the majority of people, even Christian channels, I think you're right, Brett. They just can't help themselves.
Well, I gotta be honest. You sound like you're right on the same page as me, and I even agree with Dustin on the Trump stuff. I remember talking to you in the past. You were very political oriented. You wanted to see a lot of changes, but now you sound like you're in the same boat as me. I kind of feel like liberals and Democrats need to go. They're dangerous, but I also feel like conservatives and Republicans aren't making any real impact, and Trump's really the only guy that'll do anything, walk the talk. So it's interesting how much you changed. The internet's had a brutal effect on you, huh, Stephen?
Man, I've come to realize that Republicans and Democrats, they scream at each other on TV, but then they shake hands and they have meals together behind cameras. And it's scary. They're using us, they're playing us against each other. If you only watch Fox News or you only watch CNN, you have this ugly, disgusting version of the world that you picture. But then you walk outside and you go to the store and you realize like it's a much different reality than what your preferred news network has been force feeding you. And you just become, I don't know, man, disenchanted. You lose the romance with politics after so long. And
it's true. It's true, isn't it? When you're watching television, you feel like you're living in the end days, the apocalypse is happening. But the moment you open your door and step out on the green grass and hear the birds chirping and the world's just beautiful and the air is being sucked in, it's like a totally different reality. It's almost like you're in a multi-dimension. You're right about that, Stephen.
Well, it's not just that, man. But if you watch Fox News or CNN, take it even further, okay? You have this world painted that there's this race war going on around you everywhere right now. But then you go to town and someone of the opposite race opens the door for you and gives you a smile. And you think, Why don't they hate me?
It's
I'm
called
supposed to
Cold
hate
War
them.
syndrome. You're under Cold War syndrome, okay? They want you in this perpetual state of fight or flight. It's just another way of keeping you under their thumb, right? I mean, the systems are no longer working for us, and the more evidence we see of it, the more culture shock we keep running into, right? I don't know, man, but me, I as a little child, I was always taught not to trust what the story was from the mainstream, and my teacher was always an idiot, and doctors were always quacks. So I don't know, man. Like I look at it and I'm like, well, maybe there was a reason that you were taught way back in the 40s and the 30s and the 20s that you are not to wear your emotions on your sleeve, that these small issues as they really are amplified by our point of view, our addiction, and our clouded perspective to what reality really is.
See, something you just touched on, I think, created a monster, actually. You talked about how we learned to stop wearing our emotions on our sleeves, but I think that time frame, especially in American history, it aligns perfectly with the rise of narcissism in our society.
No, it's the exact opposite. What
Well,
happened
I
was
hold
you
on.
alienated.
I have to step away for about 30 seconds. So you can either start explaining this to Brett now, or you can talk about something random for 30 seconds and then explain it to myself and Brett in 30 seconds.
Look, there are things that in this life we see constantly where there are examples of things that are nice. We see what happens when people that have no respect for those things get their hands on them. So when you have a particular class of individuals that have learned their lesson and know the right way to deal with things, they usually get alienated because their approach is unorthodox.
Well, I hear you there, man. I agree with you. And you're right about it. I've been around since 1976, and we were always told, you go to the doctors, they were big on misdiagnosing. They put children on Ritalin and all kinds of drugs all the time. You watch the news, and it was always about views. It didn't matter how much blood had to be spilled. So, yeah, things haven't much changed. The technology's gotten more sexier, but that's about it.
They've had, see, and this is the thing, is that we've had warnings of what's to come in forms of movies, magazines, 1984, George Orwell. I mean, they were cryptic, but I mean, they weren't that cryptic. You know, I don't necessarily know that they were warnings, even necessarily, as people have this uncanny ability to see details of the future, but not as specific when it comes to the whole picture. So you get bits and pieces of it, and it's uncanny how it unfolds before your eyes. So, yeah, but then you also have to worry because a lot of these influences are driven by man, and I don't think God really cares about the end result as long as his will is done.
I hear you there. I hear you. What do you think? Do you think that God wants Christians to deal with this political problems that we're having in society? And where do you stand on? What do you think the view is Christians should have on this whole climate control and politics?
It's my experience that politics are usually the symptom of the problem, uh, and they're never really a solution to anything. All throughout history, we've been taught to hate our politicians, and most of the people who started our political system hated politicians. Uh, I mean, I hate to say it, but it is actually true that here in this country, if you have proper education, you can turn the wheels in your wheelhouse, so to speak, so that a lot of these influences are turned off. You don't get that in China. You don't get that in Russia. You don't get that anywhere else. But there are still a lot of protections that, for lack of education, we just won't have access.
It sounds like Steven's back in the picture. You back with us?
I am. How convincing was his argument, Brett?
Well, he's talking about how ridiculous the news has been and how we've always been taught in some kind of way or another that politicians aren't to be trusted and all that. And it's true. It's really, really difficult. It's very confusing. And I think it's one of the reasons why there's so many Americans who have so much anxiety, because they don't know who to believe and what to go for. I think that's one of the reasons, Stephen, why I've been seeing a lot more people becoming religious. People are looking for something that they can hold on to, a reason to continue on and wake up in the morning. I've been seeing a lot of people at least coming closer to the idea that, you know, if they don't hold on to something like God, then what do they have to hold on to? Stephen, remember what I told you. If you or TTOR ever want to do like a live thing, I'm willing to do it with you guys. I just don't want to do the open asylum thing anymore.
I'm okay with that. And I would even encourage a couple of our hosts to go check that show out. People I could vouch for, you know.
Well,
you
now
want to set
hold
up
on
something
here.
with TTOR?
Now hold on here, Brett. It may not be a bad idea to take one of your favorite trolls and make an example out of them.
Well, unfortunately, a troll, if they scream racial slurs or they play audio in the background, even quiet enough to where the host can't hear it, they can burn a channel. So it's not worth it. Stephen, anytime I've ever lost a channel or I've gotten strikes, it's always from something having to do with a live show. You know that. Even a couple of years ago when God TV Radio got banged on, it was because of live shows, never because of my solo uploads. And it's that. And to be honest with you, Stephen and Mr. Dustin Buck, unless I've got some intelligent folks like yourselves in the room to talk to, it's kind of a waste of time. You just get people in who are going to piss all over God, you know, piss all over your views and beliefs. What's the point to doing something like that? Sure, I can slap them around, but you know what happens, right, Dustin? If you lose your cool or you own somebody, they're going to try to report you and knock your stuff down anyway. So it's better just to do it like what we're doing right now.
What is TTOR doing? You should shoot him a message real quick and get him to join us.
Well, it's hard to be able to get him to do anything nowadays because he's been working for some kind of TV production thing or distribution for his church. So they've been having him come in and do a lot of editing and recording and using the camera and all that stuff. It's kind of like what you used to do with Kent a while back, where you guys would record and talk and do that type of thing. That's what he's trying to do. So he hasn't been on YouTube as much these days.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I thought TTOR was an atheist.
No, he's Christian.
What? What? Since when?
I've never known him to not be a Christian. Have you, Brett? You've known him longer than I have.
TTR has been.
We must have.
I think that you're thinking of somebody else there, Dustin, because TTOR has been a Christian since the day I met him and all that. He was actually very pivotal and basically helping me change some of my views and ideas. I think he's been a Christian since he was a young boy. So I think you got the wrong guy.
No, I definitely have the right guy. I think that we just got off on the wrong foot. I didn't know he was a Christian. I had no idea he was a Christian.
When did you get into it with TTOR? I think he might have disliked me for a while because I support Kent Hovind, but I've never disliked TTOR.
That was the issue right there, was Kent Hovind. But maybe I'm assigning a little bit of malice to him that doesn't belong to him. I don't know. I have to re-examine that conversation now in my mind. But had I known he was a Christian, I might have come at it a little bit different. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, TTOR actually, believe it or not, I don't know if either one of you knew this. He was a big time supporter of Kent for a long time. I don't know if you even want me to get into that kind of discussion, Stephen, but he's a big supporter. You don't want me to, or you want me to?
It doesn't have to go down that road. I just didn't know he was
not
a
if
Christian.
it goes into like a lot of detail as to why he doesn't like Kent Hovind. Not really.
Well, I will put it like this, and I know this won't offend anybody. You'll all respect this. TTOR agrees with a lot of the views, religious wise and spiritual, of what Kent talks about. It's something completely having nothing to do with Christianity and religion that he's bothered with, and that's it. Sound good?
That sounds beautiful.
I know. I've never had an issue with. See, like, here's the thing, and please don't fry me at the stake for this, okay? But there may be people who have legitimate claims and complaints against Kent Hovind. It may be possible that someone out there has been disgruntled or he has done wrong to someone, but it gets drowned out by all these people with all these fanciful claims, right? I mean, I'm not so blind as to think that I've never stepped on somebody's foot without looking or thinking about it, or even thinking about uh, apologizing, right? I'm a lot more careful these days because of those things, right? I assume that Ken Hovind is too. But I guarantee at some point, with so many people in such a small condensed area, somebody has a legitimate complaint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I share the same view as TTOR in this, Stephen. I still see Kent as a powerful entity in Christianity with a very strong, good message, especially whenever he was a younger man and all that. There's very little I could actually disagree with him on. You know where I'm coming from on that, but I still think that he has a lot to him.
I still watch him today. No, I love Kent Hovind, you know, but no man is perfect. So I don't want to lead myself into thinking that he's something that he's not just to set myself up for disappointment. Right? I'm nobody perfect. So I know he's not.
I'll just finish with this, Stephen. I still think he's a good man with a good message, and I still think that he owns the hell out of atheists whenever it comes to evolution. That's it. That's where I'm going to end it on that. Would you like to ask me any other questions?
Well, I do want you to plug your show, plug where people can get your merchandise, encourage everybody to go subscribe to you. You're doing some Christian content. I think that they would appreciate. I do have to give you the warning. If you have like an uncle, guys, that is maybe a Marine and uses some language from time to time, just think of Brett as that uncle and you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's a fair warning, ladies and gentlemen. I strongly believe in God, and people like Stephen and TTOR and many others, even Stump, I could see as a person who has a very positive, effective message. Although I'm a former atheist garden Christian, I still have a lot of my old habits like bad language and kind of talking rough. I was born and raised in St. Louis, and I still got a lot of that. Still got a lot. What do they call it? The old man in me, the old flesh that hasn't completely died yet.
Oh, that dude never dies until we die. Yeah, it's a battle every day, Brett. I wish it was that easy. You can't just like put a pillowcase over its head and it stops breathing. It will always be there.
I would recommend that if people are looking for someone who's further in their walk and more biblically sound and stuff on a lot of things, you should probably go with Stephen as well as TTOR, and there's a few others I could mention out there. If you're looking for the clean cut, straight to the message type of guys, I'm a little bit rough around the edges still. I got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm a work in progress.
What I appreciate about you, though, is even though your language is rough, you being unpolished makes you very honest. And you do say quite a few things that we all agree with, but few of us are brave enough to say out loud. And not only do you say it out loud, but you say it publicly. And what I mean by that is in a public forum. So I've always tipped my hat to you, Brett. And I hope for many, many years you continue what you're doing. I hate to think that they have shadow banned you, but have you considered starting another Brett Keane YouTube channel while operating your current one and see if that one's banned and just start loading all the content to that one also and see if you get traction on there faster?
Well, there's a problem with that, Stephen. The artificial intelligence has the ability. I don't know if you notice when you make your videos nowadays, but it's actually able to create the subtitles for you. Your videos are able to generate every word that you say. So if I re-upload stuff onto a new channel, although logically you're right, I would be not shadow banned. It would only take a moment. If my name is put into that list of, blacklisted by YouTube, they're going to hear me say, hello, everyone, I'm this, that, yada, yada, yada. So all my old videos get me in trouble. You see what I mean?
So we need to get you an alias, call you Mike Honcho, buy you one of those digital voice enhancers, right? And that way it's not the computer messing your voice up. So the AI will have a hard time decoding it.
We should just start calling you Keen Brett.
Oh, I tried a while back, Dustin and Steven. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I I made a channel a while back where I actually used like kind of special effects to make it look like the Reaper was talking. It was an animated version of the Grim Reaper where I would talk, and I did brought my pitch down and everything else where I was like, hey, this is the Grim Reaper type of thing. And people still figured out it was me because I've got one of those unique voices. There's no way around it.
It's not just the unique voices. It's the isms you have and say, like situation. That is Brett Keane.
The whole 9 yards, all that stuff. Yeah, that's, if people are so shocked by that, they need to visit Missouri. That's the way everybody talks. Everything's a situation. Everything's a scenario. Hell, we even got a news company called the Situation Room, so it may be unique for other people, but Missouri, that's just the way we talk.
I don't think a lot of us communicate with you guys because don't take this the wrong way, but Missouri's country. And I think a few of you guys have figured out how to master computers, but I think the vast majority are still a little country and haven't just caught on to how useful they are yet. So we just haven't
we got a lot of wild animals. We've got St. Louis down here, Stephen, one of the murder capitals of the world. So we do have our savages, we got our country folk and all that, but we do have city people as well. A lot of folks from New York, they're talking about doing those sanctuary city things in St. Louis. So yeah, it's come along. If you go to Twitter, you're going to notice there's a lot of people from Missouri and St. Louis. That's one of the reasons why I like Twitter so much. There's so many people out there that are all around me and everything. So I feel like I'm right at home. The situation's always known.
If I ever go to Missouri, Brett, you better pick up your phone because I'm going to take you out for a steak. And if you don't want to go out for a steak, we're going to have one Ubered to the front door, and right there on your front porch, we'll eat us a steak together, okay?
Well, that sounds good. They do got some good steak around here for sure.
All right. This doesn't mean we have to end. We can go as long as you'd like to. But I want to just assume all 800 plus of my subscribers are going to watch this. Tell them where all they can get a hold of Brett Keane, how they can check out your store, all those details.
Well, the easiest way to be able to find me is if people look up at the name here on my avatar. It says at Brett Keane, YouTube / at Brett Keane. A lot of you out there, if you don't know this already, you can make a handle for your YouTube account so your YouTube channel doesn't have like some big long number as a link. Just do it like that, and boom, anybody can find you anytime. If you want to know anything else about me, I'm like Mr. Steven and TTOR. I put all the links that you could ever dream of in the description of my videos, and that'll take you to wherever you want to go, whatever you want to know about me. That's simple.
Okay, I think what I want to do for everybody, if it's okay with you, sir, I'm going to share my screen on one of your videos, and I will let you pick what one you want to share.
My videos are fairly long. They're like 20, 30 minutes. I don't know if we want to put Dustin to sleep, you know?
Well, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. We can play like 5 or 10 minutes of one of your favorites, one that you're the most passionate about, Brett. I want to give my viewers a taste of what you're about.
You should probably do a short for them, something that's kind of funny. This other stuff is really, really serious and hardcore. Something that'll make them laugh. Once you do the mac and cheese one, that one causes a lot of people to laugh, or another one with you in it and us getting on to people who think they evolved from bananas. You pick any one of them that you like. Whatever you think would be funny. Oh, the transgender one's funny. Honey? Honey?
What?
Honey, what are you cooking? What's for dinner?
Mac and cheese, of course.
Mac and cheese situation,
Go check out God TV Radio, Brett Keane Show over on YouTube. You will get a few good laughs, and he does give you a lot to think about, guys. Brett, the woman responding to you in that video, is that actually Mrs. Keane?
Yeah, we're both doing a goofy voice and all that. She's got a more softer, timid voice, but I told her, try to sound as crazy as you possibly can whenever you do a mac and cheese thing. And she had a real good time with it. She was doing a lot of videos with me, but unfortunately, Stephen, as you probably realize on YouTube, you got to have a really, really strong back in order to deal with the type of people we deal with. And my wife does not enjoy some of the hatred she gets through her Facebook and some of the other stuff. She tries to be funny, tries to be sweet and everything. Well, she's naturally like that, but takes a lot of heat for marrying a Sasquatch like myself.
Okay, that's something I'd love to touch on. I don't know how much more time you want to spend with me, but I would love to touch on that. YouTube community. Why are so many people out there so hateful on YouTube? And why do so many atheists come to these Christian channels to be hateful? Like, why don't they just avoid us if they think we're so backwoods and stupid?
They get paid to do it.
Yeah, some of them actually get paid. You'll notice that every time one of these like popular atheists make a video dissing on a Christian, somebody like Kent Hovind or that one guy, what's his David Woods, every time one of them go after a big guy, they're going to end up getting a lot of views, and the views end up turning into CPMs that get them paid by clicks. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. But YouTube is starting to cut down more on that kind of crap. In their vague terms of service, they say you're not allowed to like attack people and call people names and all that. They're getting a little bit better on that kind of stuff.
I guess so, maybe. But well, I can't really complain. I do get trolls and I get repeat trolls, and I'm not going to call them out, but I inherited a couple trolls from you, and but they're not the ones that bomb you all the time, right? Like the really bad ones that flash when they come on live and shout out dirty words to get your channel hurt. But I do have some that are a real thorn in the flesh. How many of those have you dealt with?
And do you know Claude?
Claude doesn't sound familiar unless they go by a different name or
He's
whatever.
French, if that helps.
Don't recall him.
Okay. Go ahead, Brett.
In the thousands. I've been doing this stuff for 20 years on YouTube. While it was still the Wild West and everything, I've gained a lot of a lot of enemies from the atheist community and all that. And I know some Christians think, well, why don't you try getting along with them or whatever? You've probably noticed by now, Stephen, that there is no rationalizing with them. No matter how kind or decent, no matter how much rope you give them, they just won't stop. It's just a never-ending deal. You just have to get to the point where you say, look, I've given them as many chances as I possibly can. You got to start blocking, ignoring people. I hate that because I'm all about free speech, but I'm not about free slandering and free attacks and free pop shots every chance a person gets.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I do want to remind you, man, that we have a show every day of the week, and we're going to be adding 2 new hosts in the next week or two. And I really want you to know that most of our shows are atheist free. We just welcome on believers. And if you ever wanted to come on any of those shows, man, because you're bored and we're having a decent conversation, we all welcome you. And if you come on,
Achilles!
especially
Hello.
on that night particular, to ensure that you can have a cool time hanging out with us. What's up, Achilles?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Brett.
Hey,
Welcome.
how you doing? I have
Good.
seen that you got a lot of shows upcoming and all that, and I may be interested in that because I do like sitting back listening to you as well, Stephen, as well as Mr. Stump. Stump is a really, really cool guy. I don't know how you ran into him and stuff, but you've made some really, really positive buddies.
I ran into Stump through our friend Lupin, who does a show on this channel also. So I was blessed with that. And to be honest with you, man, I really am not even a host anymore.
Gorgeous.
We have so many shows now. I'm way less of a host, and I'm a lot more of just a producer. And I just go and hang out on all the guys' shows and Awake show also, because she's not a guy technically.
What do you mean, technically?
Well, I say that because, like we're Proverbs guys, but here in the US, guys can imply groups of men or women or men and women. And that's how she applies to that. She's one of the guys, but she's a female biologically.
Now you're just making it worse.
Well, you forced me to dig a hole, Dustin. This is really on you.
Well, I can offer you a lifesaver.
Mm-mm.
He's not taking it.
Nope.
I know. He's going further in.
By the way, what you're looking at here, Brett, is a live feed of Jupiter.
We've been having some astronomy nights. And
I couldn't tell if that was a planet or if that was a flashlight pointing at like a bad carpet or something. Oof.
it's Jupiter, and there is a cloud coming in, so the blurry image begins before the cloud, but the visible part is about to storm in. But you can see one dot at the bottom right, and that is the shadow of Io. And I took a picture a little bit earlier. I can show you the picture. Plus, brother Steven, I've made the pictures from last night. They're pretty good. They need a little bit more processing.
Achilles, Brett, is our brother from Greece, and he teaches us a Greek class once a week. He's supposed to. He took last week off, but hopefully he's going to be getting back at that. And he does our astrology nights, and we have a lot of fun with him. Although he, for some reason, refuses to ever show us the moon, which would be clear.
No, it's your luck, brother. It's not up there right now. It will be up there in 5 days.
Oh, you're in one of those countries where for 5 whole days the moon's not visible?
Well, you do.
No, I see the moon all the time. Guys, is that true for us?
Yeah, right now you don't have the moon either when it's nighttime.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes the moon's on the other side of the hemisphere, or on the other side of the planet.
Or
yeah,
the
but
other
if
side
he's
or
on the
whatever.
other side of the planet and I'm on the other side of the planet from him, then the moon can't be on the other side of the planet for 5 days from both of us.
Well, technically, when it's night, we are looking at the same part of the sky. So if we don't
And
have a
the
moon
moon
here, yeah, you don't
and
have
the
it
moon
either.
is sometimes up while the sun's up too.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh boy.
that cloud is moving away. It didn't touch Jupiter. That's good. That's good. So instead, I was trying to make an animation, but the night is not as good as last night. I can give you a better image, but with full grain. Anyway,
Hey, can
I'm
you
s-
guys hear me okay? I'm sorry.
I'm
Yes, Lupin.
storming. Hello,
Yeah,
Lubin.
we can hear you, Lupin.
I'm
Okay.
storming the show, so you can minimize the screen or continue talking, and I'll just be here playing around with pagan god of gods.
He'd just be showing us the mysteries of the universe through his telescope.
Yeah,
Okay.
silently.
Consider the heavens.
Amen.
Yeah. Brett, how many different people from around the world did you make good friendships with? Are you still in contact with any of them?
Well, unfortunately, being around for 20 years, I've lost people, unfortunately, to death, or people have been shut down from social media sites and all that. TTOR and yourself, I literally met you guys off site. You know, TTOR, I met him on BitChute. He was like one of the only, how do I put it? There was like 5 Christians that seemed that were even being heard over on BitChute, and he was one of them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, are you still streaming to his platform too? Because he has an alternative to YouTube also, right?
Yeah, and he and I have talked about this. There's days where I try to go to his site, and unfortunately, it doesn't load up very quick. I could be sitting there for 15 minutes, and I've talked to him, and he knows I'm not trying to hurt his feelings or anything. I say, dude, how am I supposed to get videos up here if it's taken so long to upload and do all this kind of stuff? And I tried to get him to do what Odyssey and Rumble does, where you sync up your YouTube channel and the videos go over there. He's still got a lot of work to do. He's done a lot of great things, but it still has some issues.
Brett, I want you to meet another one of our hosts. This is Ryan. Ryan is one of the coolest mailmen you will ever meet in your life.
He's a mailman. What's up, Ryan?
Brett was
Ryan
on
Williams.
one of my,
Everyone.
I think you were on my first broadcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've talked to Ryan before. Ryan is really cool. I enjoyed the conversations and all that.
Thank you. I'm just curious, is it normal to have a live stream in the middle of the day on a Wednesday? Is this going to be normal?
You know what? We're gonna have a lot of developments happening over the next month or two. And harvest season officially will be over for me in 2 weeks. And then I'm gonna go get my son for 2 weeks. So about a month and a week from now, I'm gonna have a lot more time on my hands. And we probably will be doing some daytime streams. I'm really wanting to encourage that. If anybody has time, any of the hosts, you guys let me know, and we can hook you up with a daytime show.
I just happen to be off.
Hey, when are we gonna have a Proverbs Teens Ministries?
Well, we don't have tweens yet, or teens ministries or kids ministries as of yet. However, it's funny you say that because we are going to be taking on kind of under our wing a women's ministry. And so it will be Proverbs guys and gals, but don't tell Stump he has a stroke every time you say and gals.
Well, I agree with him somewhat on that. No, what I'm saying is when is your kid gonna come up with a Proverbs guy in ministries, a proverb teen?
You know what? I hope for my son's sanity and his peace of mind, he never goes onto the YouTube atmosphere. I hope he avoids it because it can be really toxic and draining and life consuming.
Absolutely.
I would love for him to find a good church to get rooted in and just get involved in ministry there. But his day and age, and knowing that I do this, he probably will end up on YouTube, and I'll support him.
Frank Turek had a pretty good response about the women ministering and everything like that. I've been seeing a couple of videos about that topic in particular.
Amen. Now, Brett, I am interested because you've been on, well, not just YouTube, but you've been podcast celebrity status for 20 plus years now. How come your kids never got involved in radio or podcast or YouTube?
Well, my son and daughter, as well as my wife especially, used to actually have her own YouTube channel and did stuff. The problem is that my son was starting to get some pretty wicked stuff from the atheist movement. You see, the problem is, Stephen, if you ever decide to put your children up on video, being that I was one of the first ones to come out dealing with religion and atheism, I didn't know. I didn't have anybody to tell me how dangerous that could be. So I did put my kids on video. I did. And they ended up making videos where they made it look like my daughter was in a scope rifle, like they were going to shoot her. So my kids didn't want to have anything to do with this. I didn't want them involved anymore. And my wife, like there was a guy named Amendum a while back, a real popular atheist. I don't even know if he's around, but he would make videos to my wife, respond to her and call her a fat pig and everything that you could think of. And she just said, you know what? This isn't for me, Brett. I don't like this. People are really cruel.
Did it time out for everybody, or was that just me?
It was just you. You went away and you came back.
Okay. Yeah, let me see. Am I connected to Wi-Fi right now? Yeah, I am. Okay.
A perfect example, Stephen, of seeing how kids are punished for who their parents are on the internet is Kent. You know, he's got a son and everything, and look how they treat him. That's exactly why you need to concern yourself before even imagining putting your kids on video, or a wife or girlfriend.
Well, I'm not going to encourage him to get on camera, and I don't show him on social media at all. But I imagine when he gets older, like older teens, he'll figure out what I do, and then he'll also want to do something like that. And it's 2023, so it's almost impossible to stop them from being on whatever social media's, around when he's a little older. If we
It's probably gonna be a mandatory thing. Unfortunately,
if you guys watch that movie Messiah 2030, you'll see that 2030 is probably the end game.
Moment of silence.
Yep. Sorry to be the party booper.
I completely agree. I have a different timeline, but 2030 sounds okay. I think it's going to be faster, but I'm going to watch that. I remember you saying last night, and I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, and basically we're all going to die. Right, Brett?
Yeah, it seems like it's an inevitable deal. No getting around it.
Are you still an nihilist? Do you believe when a person goes to hell that they're just annihilated and then they're no more?
Yeah, I believe their entire identity is wiped out. However, I will say, I know that TTOR had a lot of the same views as you did, and he would argue with me. You have come up with some very interesting stuff, and you've definitely pushed me more towards the argument on the Trinity and all that. I will say that. But as far as the soul and the obliteration and all that, I'm still on that page. People are more than welcome to argue with me about it and try to tell me differently and all that. But so far, I see the second death as actual death of the soul.
Well, I agree with him on the second death being exactly what he's saying. But the second death. So I think there will be the time in hell is limited by this very small number of 1,000 years. And if you don't get it in 1,000 years, then comes the destruction of the soul.
So wait, you believe while in hell you have 1,000 years to repent?
Yes.
Wouldn't everyone repent?
No.
Isn't that a Jewish?
Really?
Yeah, there will be. I'm
Isn't
sorry.
that a Jewish belief?
I mean, I grew up Hebrew on my dad's side, and I never.
No, the
believed
reason
that.
the reason I
Take
say
it.
that is because I believe in the thousand reign kingdom. People here tell me it's metaphorical. It's not going to be 1,000 years, but the Bible clearly speaks of 1,000 years. So in these 1,000 years that some people will inherit the kingdom of Christ here, it's 1,000 years that the rest must be someplace. So
Take it from
I believe that there are people who will not repent either after 1,000 years of hell, because they will say, God, you put me here and you're not just.
Yeah, Stephen, there is a couple different groups out there. There's the group out there that says I simply don't believe because I don't feel like there's enough evidence to support it. But I've actually talked to some non-believers where they said if God was real and they ever had the chance, they would assault God. They would attack. That's how angry and how much hatred they have in them, that they would want to hurt God and crucify him all over again. There are people
Amen.
like that.
Yeah.
There are people like that.
It's weird to say amen to that, but I just say it because it's true.
Take it from somebody who knows. Hell is a place with no locked doors. Okay? You're not there because someone sent you there. You're there because you want to be away from God.
I don't think that's biblical.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Well, think about it. Enmity
does
with God. If you're the enemy with God,
biblical, Dustin.
I think this is the point of view he's coming from. It's a common Christian belief that God doesn't send people to hell, that people willingly choose to go to hell.
people. Okay, so think of it this way: if you thought that God was going to judge you and send you to hell, wouldn't you want to escape that judgment? Technically, you put yourself in hell.
I think he does have a point. It is biblical. It is not believing in the truth has another road that leads you to. It's not like God saying you deserve hell. It's like we earn it.
Well, to be fair, I said I don't think it's biblical because Dustin, you said it in a really weird way. However,
Yeah,
Brett,
that's it. Yeah.
Brett kept wanting to chime in.
I just didn't.
Wasn't able to.
I just didn't invoke the Bible or like a verse or a chapter. I just
no, I understand that.
Like it's kind of like a proverb, really.
Well, it's still though it's so foreign to the language I'm used to. It doesn't make sense to me sometimes, but I'm willing to listen. Brett, what were you going to say?
Okay.
Well, I was actually I was going to respond to something somebody said a couple hits ago, but I actually was enjoying everybody's view and ideas on this. If you would like, Stephen, you and I can sit back one day and I can share verses with you on why it is that I believe this. The only thing that I have issue with, I completely agree with the heart of flesh guy, but I don't know how long it takes for a soul to be disintegrated or annihilated. So for the Christians out there who say, yeah, but doesn't that seem like that's the easy way out? Not really. Not if you're burning for 1,000,000 years and then your soul gets wiped out, or 1,000 years. That still stinks. But if you think about it, it is people's choice that they want to be there. I mean, imagine right now if God were to say, oh, Satan, by the way, you can come back to heaven and rejoin me. Is Satan going to do that? No. Well, there's people with that same mindset where they want their lust and their sin and temptation. They would rather be destroyed. To them, heaven would be like hell if they were to go there, or God would force heaven upon them. Does that make sense?
I agree.
Yeah, I
I
think about
guess
it
it
like
can.
this: if you knew that you stunk, right? Would you want to go around a bunch of people who think that they don't?
What?
Maybe to just annoy him.
Lupin,
Uh,
what were you gonna say?
okay, I had a couple of points, and then I'm gonna go because I got to prepare for tonight's show. Um, Achilles used a strange word. I think I can't remember what it was, but they deserved it or earned it or something.
Uh,
For how?
yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, earn, which I mean deserve.
Okay,
Like God will
and
warn us.
I would have
Yeah.
used a different word. I think it was like they desired it. They desired. They didn't earn anything. They desired to be away from the presence of God. They didn't
No,
earn it. They
the
desired.
no the thing, the way I see it is that um, if somebody was shown what hell is like, everybody would repent the very next day. But there is the truth and there is deception. The truth leads to the kingdom and to heaven, and all deception, whatever that deception is, and sin leads to hell.
But see, that's why I have to disagree with you on that one point, Achilles.
Mhm.
There's no way, this is upon everybody, in hell, you can convince me people would not turn to God in that 1,000 years, with the alternative being that flaming fire or their soul being annihilated. Who wouldn't repent? You can't convince me anybody would not repent.
Stephen, has it ever crossed your mind that, think about this, when people die, they lose their physical bodies. So, what is it that's actually enduring pain in this hell state? Think about
Well,
this. What do they actually?
what about time too? What about time? How does time affect the soul? Is it the same as it is on Earth, in the universe?
You have a
What?
real interesting way of cutting people off mid-sentence, Lupin. Can you
Yeah.
let Brett
I was
finish what he was saying before you just sidecar into a conversation?
I was adding
It's
to what he was saying.
it's cool. It's
No,
cool.
no, you cut him off mid-sentence.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Brett,
it,
continue.
it's okay. I think of it like this, Stephen, and this may come off unusual for some Christian denominations out there, but the torment that people suffer is the regret that they've had for themselves and the realization that it was their own choices that put them in there. I think the torment is internal, not external. I don't think there's like an actual fire, like there's somebody holding a lighter up to your armpit or something burning you. It's actually what is going on inside of you. You're burning yourself inside out from what you've done, the choices you've made, the sin that you have done. You basically, I like the word he used, earned. You chose it. It's not a matter of, oh, you are the weakest link and God drops you into the basement type of deal. It's a internal choice someone's made.
Agree.
Here's the thing: the show me the
You
Carfax
are the
document.
weakest link.
Show me. I have to see the scripture that
Okay.
would back that up.
I can't leave my monitor because I have to be pressing this button every 40 seconds. But if you notice, the only time fire and brimstone are mentioned is at the burning of the soul. Yes, we have some verses in the Gospels that speak of hell having fire and brimstone, but the Book of Revelation is somehow showing a distinction there. So I will not say I am 100% positive, but I'm just saying that it makes sense that God gives some souls a second chance. And as Larry said, at some point, God is showing you and telling you, like a good father, don't put your hand on the oven, you're going to get burned. But we go ahead and insist, and we're like, I know better. We focus our actions on self-righteousness, and we put our hand on the stove. That is not like judgment, but at the end of that there will be the throne of judgment. And then it will be a decision of God whether this soul deserves to continue or perish completely.
Brett, I hope you realize what you've done. You have obligated yourself to coming back for a second show.
I'd be more than happy to do that. You all sound like you got really interesting ideas. If you would like, I do have the ability to open up, and I can, if you wouldn't mind, I could show you a couple simple verses and also bring up something about Jesus, which I know everybody in here would be aware of, that we could kind of have a baseline on. Would you want me to do that, Stephen? Take me less than a minute.
I'm fine with that. I
Amen.
will say this though. I like to go off more than just one scripture verse. But I'll take yours because you did not come prepared for this.
All
Can I
right.
say something?
Sure.
Go ahead, Dustin, while Brett's pulling that up.
So let me defend my position a little bit better about people choosing to be in hell. Okay, if you're being honest about it, the serpent, whether it was ethereal or allegory or whatever, told Eve that you could be as God. Now, if you think that you are a God, would you submit your will over to the God? There's
That
a
that
level.
is the point. That is the point exactly. People think that they believe they are gods of themselves, and Dustin has a very good point on that. They will not submit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 1,000 years will convince them, but not all of them.
So the Jewish thing that I brought up, it sounds very similar to what you're trying to say, Achilles. And I heard it on the internet, so it's got to be true. But I think it was a Ray Comfort video, and I think he was talking to a Jewish woman. And I believe what they go to a place, and I forget what it was called, Gehenna, or one of the other Jewish Sheol.
Gehenna.
Yeah, that. And what they do is they're burned for purification. Essentially, they're burned until they are clean enough to enter heaven. That and I don't know what the timeline is. I can't remember if she put a timeline on it, but it sounds fairly similar, and that would make sense because the Jewish Judaism and Christianity share a lot of similar traits. But when it comes to
What you're
timelines,
referring to?
when it comes to timelines, it's I really don't even like to mess with too many timelines because I think just like the power of God and what our concept of time is, and to God and the concept of God's concept of time is your mind would never be able to even comprehend it. Like you wouldn't be able to understand it, comprehend it, anything like that. So I try not to put too much timelines, but I'm sure there's a lot of study into timelines. I'm pretty sure I know a lot of people do put a lot of study into that. So it'd be an interesting topic, but I just personally don't like to focus too much on timelines.
Brett, I'd like to get your advice on something. I want you to give us some ammo to use against atheists on our atheist night we have once every 2 weeks.
Well, just tell me what kind of ammo you're looking for, and we can go from there.
Specifically, we would love to tear apart the Big Bang. We already know that it's an idiotic theory. First of all, why all of a sudden did it happen? Is it the start? Is it the expansion? That nonsense. But any other ammo you can give us about the Big Bang?
Well, the Big Bang, as well as cosmology, including even if you go all the way into the process of evolution, I don't know why atheists think that that's their friend. The Big Bang actually, William Lane Craig uses the Big Bang to actually qualify that there's a God. It tells you that whatever originated, that created the universe, existed out of space and time and matter itself. Nature doesn't create nature. So right there, you've got a supernatural claim that something actually came into existence without any kind of matter, time, space. Does that make sense to you? It's a supernatural claim, and if atheists hold on to it, they're screwed. I don't know if you heard recently, but scientists have changed their mind about the age of the universe. They're no longer claiming that it's like 16 billion years old anymore. Now they're claiming it's double that. Yeah, so it's crazy. Would you like
Every
to hear
year the processor speed doubles.
before we get too far ahead? You want me to share a couple verses with you and then throw something out there about Jesus, and then you guys can work with it.
Really quick, and it'll be very short. Stephen, what I said, since you have a Jewish background, is there any truth to what that woman said?
Not that I can recall at all.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch that video.
Share it with
In
me,
the
and I'll watch it, and
oral-
I'll let you know.
Didn't you tell me in the oral tradition that there was a Jewish place called Gehenna where you go to be shamed and purified before you go to heaven?
Yeah, but that is not in the Jewish scriptures. That's in the writings of the rabbis, the oral Torah. And that's, in my opinion, just, it has some good sage advice, but also it's some crap. It's just people's opinions on stuff. And a lot of times, more often than not, one rabbi's opinion conflicts with another rabbi's opinion, but both of them are supposed to be divinely inspired. So it's just, no, I don't validate it. I never studied it. So that's why I'm just foreign to it.
So, Stephen, when I hit you with these verses, I'm going to go with some Old Testament stuff first, because I know you're very educated and well gifted in the Old Testament, understand it very well. You probably know what I'm talking about right off the bat. Psalms 92:7. Though the wicked sprout like weeds and evildoers flourish, they will be destroyed forever. Psalms 37:20. But the wicked will die. They will disappear like smoke. Psalms 1:6. For the Lord watches over the path of the godly, but the path of the wicked leads to destruction. Now, what did Jesus Christ say? He said, I wish for none of you to perish. It's the quote somewhere around that, in that ballpark. He doesn't want anyone to perish. That's not what he wishes. Now, what does perish mean? Being that you're into Hebrew and you've been also looking into the Greek and all that, it means to be ruined, to be destroyed, destruction. Now, I know a lot of Christians, they see words like in Revelation where it says eternal destruction and all this. What does that mean exactly? If Lupin right now were to go over to his computer, take a baseball bat to it, smash it into little pieces, and make the decision to never repair it and bring it back to its original state, then you could honestly say then that computer is eternally ruined and destroyed, right? That would be the punishment.
I'll tell you right now, Brett, I was completely unprepared for this conversation, and you will come back. If I have to send your wife a bribe to strong arm you into coming back for another episode, it will have to happen, sir.
Oh, there you go. I just wanted to make sure I hit it from an angle where everybody'd be able to say, yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. I'd be more than happy at doing a video. And if you want to bring Christians in that have a different view or idea on how the afterlife works, I totally encourage that. Because if I'm wrong and they're right, I want to be educated.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and head out. I tell you what, man, I was on Missing Mod's show earlier this morning. And if you want ammo for atheists, really just let them talk, dude. They will dig themselves in a hole so quick. It's kind of ironic, but also don't let them overtake the show. But I was really surprised with Big Bad Mama, because I've vehemently have argued with BBM a lot. like in the comments on Kent Hovind's videos whenever he wasn't banned or whatever. Like I would always be in there arguing with him.
Lupin, it looks very pretty where you are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day out here, so I'm kind of going in and out and getting a little bit of sun. I know Achilles is like, "What are you doing outside? You are going to burn.
You burn. You burn.
You burn, vampire." I put on a lot of sunblock.
Here it's overcast.
Yeah, and
I'm being a good vampire. I'm staying here all night outside, you know, playing bat and everything.
You are no vampire.
yeah, no, I had a good conversation with Big Bad Mama, but it was interesting. He didn't answer a question. I asked him if the rapture happened, and you knew it happened, and you were one of those that were left behind, would you then begin to pray or believe in God? And he was still fighting it. It was it's very interesting. It's real interesting when you posit these kind of questions. I think one of the best questions to ask atheists is, hey, you know, if Christianity is true and you knew it undoubtedly, would you convert to Christianity? And I think that gets a lot of them thinking, but a lot of them will slither and twist and turn and try and get out of that question. But yeah.
I checked. I started trying to watch that stream, and after talking for a full hour about me and talking about everything, even that I don't know, whatever you want to touch. At some point, I had to go. I left. I came back 1.5 hours later, and then I found you in there, and I heard that conversation with Big Bad Mama. This proves the point that we are making here, that there are some people that will just not even consider a hypothesis and see what they would do. No, whatever they do is they allow you to talk, to find some way to twist it into saying that, well, that's what you believe. Yeah, but we just said that what if? He started it going along and then he turned it towards, well, that's your view. And it's like there's no winning. But what you said is completely true. They fall into holes and pits. And this is what we're trying to save them from, the big pit.
Right. Yeah.
So I admire your patience, because then another hour later I checked again and you were still talking. Good going. I don't know. I don't have that patience.
Well, here's the thing. You know, as much as sometimes I can't stand Big Bad Mama, and I would always fight with them in chat. Whenever I was able to talk to him, and this is when Aiden left the room, we were able to like have a back and forth conversation without completely talking over each other. With Aiden, it's almost impossible. And I noticed the same thing with Claude. It's almost impossible because instead of just hearing you out, they'd rather just go la 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 and just talk while you're talking. So you cannot make your point. No one can hear it.
I'll remind you guys, we inherited Aiden from Brett. So Brett is well familiar with...
It's all your fault, Brett.
It's all your fault. You should keep him.
Yeah. I was trying with Aiden, but I couldn't do it. I mean, I could, but it was wheel spinning. I was surprised with Big Bad Mama. At least we were able to have a conversation. But I've noticed these patterns with certain people. But Big Bad Mama did surprise me a little bit there.
Well, Aiden isn't very respected by a lot of atheists out there as well, because he's been caught nonstop making up things about science that simply are not true. And he's the type of person that if you ask him to back it up or give evidence for his claims, he will go into a big, long 30-minute drivel. I call it the put people to sleep tactic.
Yep.
Oh,
So that
I called him out on it like 30 times, man.
I will remind you guys that there's a really good chance Gangster Ghost is watching this episode as we speak and sending little clippets to Aiden. So speak of him and he will probably show up.
Oh, I said Gangster Ghost. I said Gangster Ghost straight too, because they struggle to answer Achilles' questions about whether or not Gangster Ghost videos about like us are attacks, if they're attacks. And the answer is yes, they are attacks. Are they very effective attacks? Are they very harmful attacks? No, but at the end of the day, they're still attacks. You know, it was very simple, and I just told him, you know, hey, look, if you make whatever kind of videos you want, you know, but if you have a talent, you know, you could use it to be far more productive by doing, you know, you could go outside, take a picture of a flower, and you know, uh,
Yep.
make a story on the flower. Achilles said, you know, go observe a butterfly, go do something, but instead you want to just attack us and make silly videos.
Well, you did mute yourself at the end there, Lupin. So I'll say this: the hosts on this
I'm calling them.
channel are like we're like musketeers. We're all for one and one for all. So you're not going to attack any of the hosts on this channel and then come and associate with any of the other shows. It just does not work that way.
Boom.
I was getting a phone call. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We hear you
okay.
now.
Oh man, I was worried that you weren't going to finish.
I would like to unravel this conversation or ravel it back to where it was and say that if I want something from my new friend Brett, it would not be about atheists because I enjoy learning. And if he has different opinions in other things that we've been discussing, like him, I want to know. And if I'm wrong somewhere, I want to get educated on it. And when it comes to atheists, it's like we're going back to kindergarten and we're playing. So,
Amen. Absolutely.
yeah, Brett, I'd love you to come by anytime that you can when you see a show. Your input already sounds good. I've checked out your work too. And what happened with the channel, by the way? It's still on, right?
Yeah, my channel's still working. The strike will be removed around Christmas unless I get hit again with something else. I think what happened was a non-believer came in the room and played background sounds from a movie, and I just couldn't hear it. I'm half deaf. I don't know if you realize that, Steven. So even Stump didn't hear anything. I don't think he heard anything. But the problem is an AI can pick up the data, the information, no matter how quiet it is. If somebody comes in the room and plays a Britney Spears song really quietly, we may not be able to pick it up, but the AI would.
Right. Yep.
I actually don't think that this should be the case. Technically speaking, if you can't hear it, YouTube can't hear it either. And I've been using many songs and many clips from Hollywood movies. And if I put something over it,
A filter.
or an effects for the videos or somebody speaking through the audio, or I can always overcome the problem. So if you didn't hear it, or if you play the stream and you can't hear it still, there's nothing that the algorithm can pick up. So something else happened today. I was watching a stream. It was live, and they were playing a hip hop song which is completely non-monetized, but on the video clip it had some monetized things, and the live stream stopped immediately. Like it cut. I've never seen that before. It cut during playtime, and then when they stopped the song after 15 seconds after they stopped it, it came back. The live stream continued as it was, like without the video getting down. So I don't think it was that. There is a chance that the video got reported. because from what I've realized, there's nobody behind the YouTube wheel when it comes to reporting.
Yep.
So that could be it, or you gave some information out that somebody checked and they didn't want them heard. What they
No,
call
when
misinfo.
I got flagged, sir, I I went into the dashboard of my YouTube, and it actually did a pop up. It told me where the report came from. It was like a DMCA thing from the very movie company. See, me and Mr. Stump, we were talking about movies I plan on watching in the future and some music and all that. I'm not going to mention the names because, in case it was just simply by talking about it, I don't want to get my buddy in trouble here. But I spent 2 minutes talking about some stuff that I thought was interesting that I may check out in the future. One of them was about demonic possession, a movie about it. And the next thing I knew, I woke up the next morning and it said I got reported by that movie company. Now, I wrote the company, but you got to imagine it's going to be difficult. And you know what? You might be right about that. It might be that YouTube allows some music and then other stuff can get you in trouble. It could be that the algorithm just simply hasn't gotten around to screwing you over. I see a lot of reaction videos where people show movie clips and sounds and everything's fine. And then 2 years later, all of a sudden they get canceled. So I don't know. It's all up in the air for me.
Was the movie starting with NEF?
One tip I can give you is that if something says blocked, you don't receive a strike. If you appeal the block and they review it, then you get a strike. So if something gets blocked, just say bye-bye, beautiful stream, and that's it. You won't get a strike. But there are but nothing makes sense if they have their eye on you, like what happened with Dr. Hovin's channel. It just disappeared for no reason. He had 2 channels up and they both disappeared the very same day. So, rules don't apply. There are double standards.
He was specifically harassed, and just as well as I do, Akiva. I know you guys were bringing it up the other day, subtly. There's a lot of ways around copyrights. There's like filtering, adding like audio, doing audio mixing, stuff like that. The movie that I was referring to, does it start with the NEFA and has a guy in a jail cell?
Yeah, that's it. I actually put it in private chat for Steven earlier to be able to see. It is a Christian film company that put this movie together. So, because he was thinking maybe demons got a hold of me or something.
I was thinking that these demonic-filled producers put something on you because Stump was on your show that day talking about Jesus.
No, I don't think that I don't think this movie company or this Christian company had anything to do with it. I think it was just an algorithm or something that just basically glitched out on it, because there was no sound, no movie, no clips, no nothing. It was just 2 guys talking about, or 3 guys talking about films we may want to see in the future, and that's it.
Do you want to know do you want to know what I honest to God think it is, Brett? I think for a long time when you were an atheist and you were the #1 atheist on all of YouTube, your name, Brett Keane, was a trigger for Christians, and you blew YouTube up with negative tags from Christians. And then when you converted to Christianity, you got all that negative tag attention from the atheist community. So your name will forever probably be like a relic of that woke war and the atheist versus Christian war. Just Brett Keane, anytime that's mentioned too many times, like this episode, I've said your name a lot, it'll probably get canceled.
Brett Keane.
Yep.
Well, I'd be proud if I were in his shoes.
Yeah, sometimes it's an honor to be banned. You're not part of the cool club unless you've been banned at least 2 or 3 times. I mean, I don't trust you if you've never been banned. I don't know. I think you're a spy. I'm about to go, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't honestly, Brett. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was somebody reporting you because I've seen people get reported. I've seen things get shut down just by bots. But that movie in particular, I think it was Steven and me a long time ago. Whenever it was being released, I played like the trailer for it, and nothing happened to that video.
Way to rub salt in Brett's wound, man.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I got a strike on my channel where I couldn't upload for like 3 days because of one of your streams that you guys played a video from the 50s or something. But you didn't get no strike.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was insane.
And I made
Yeah.
and I made a video for this channel, and I had a hard time with the copyrights. I had to upload it like 20 different times. I edited and re-edited, and after it got past the copyrights, I copied the video and uploaded it on my account, and it had a copyright problem on my account when it went fine through this account. So some things just don't make sense.
And then tomorrow they're gonna change the rules anyway and and take all your channel down. So anyway, just keep your paper book Bibles with you because eventually we're all gonna just be having to be on the street, just preaching the gospel. And hopefully we got some people that have been really good at memorizing it because they're gonna go after the paper ones too, and then the people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Steve, are you still there? Are you still there? I was going to throw something out.
Yeah, throw it out, Brett.
You
throw
said
it like
you
a
were,
hand grenade.
You said you were looking for ammo and all that. I was thinking of one other thing too. Whenever you're doing that, and I'll try to come into the room as well and have some play time with some of these folks. But one of the things you want to do right off the bat is try to get them to admit what their belief system actually is. Sure, they'll say they lack a belief in deities, but ask them, do they believe that the origin of the universe is a natural one? Once you get them to put it out there, the baseline that they actually do have a belief that everything came in naturally without a guide, then they have the burden of proof. Atheists like to put themselves in a position where you're on the defensive and they get to do the attack, but hold them to something that they have burden of proof of, and that's the naturalistic claim of the universe, life itself. And you got them.
Amen.
Agree.
Yeah. And unless it's bubblegum, then it'll take about 5 hours over 10 episodes for him to explain what he believes. And I say that because I'm in the chat. But yeah.
That's I just read the chat, and funny stuff.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Have a good one, Lupin.
All right, Lupin.
Can I get in here for just a moment and make an observation pertaining to a TV show I saw years ago?